Why do some people shut down instead of speaking up when they're hurt? You ever meet someone who gets quiet when they're upset? Not cold, just distant. It's not because they don't care. It's because silence feels safer than being misunderstood. When emotions were once ignored or punished, the mind learns to protect itself. So instead of arguing, they rehearse full conversations in their heads. They picture the perfect reply, the right words, the deep truth. But when it's time to speak, nothing comes out. It's not weakness. It's survival, a trauma response dressed as composure. They've learned it's easier to stay quiet than risk being dismissed again. That's called emotional withdrawal, and it runs deeper than you think. It's the kind of coping that looks calm, but feels like screaming internally. These people are not cold, they're just tired of not being heard. They don't need someone to force words out of them. They need someone patient enough to sit with the silence. Because for them, being safe means being still. And finally, being understood, without having to explain everything.
Say weed makes you dumb, but the truth is more interesting. What if the people who smoke it are not slow at all, but deeply aware? Not because weed makes them smarter, but because of the kind of mind that's drawn to it. Many of them are not lazy. They are overthinkers, deep feelers, people whose minds rarely stay quiet and whose brains never shut off. And sometimes weed feels like a pause, a small moment of silence in a mind that never stops talking. Research suggests that cannabis users often score higher in openness to experience, a trait linked to creativity, curiosity, and deep thinking. So maybe they are not escaping reality. Maybe they are trying to see it differently. That is why small moments can feel bigger. Ideas can flow more freely, and the mind can connect things others never notice. But there is another side. The same mind that wants peace can begin to depend on that quiet, and that is the danger. Weed does not create intelligence. It simply lowers the noise, just enough for someone to finally hear how much is already inside them.
Smoking is not just a habit, but a psychological cycle that grips the mind and emotions. It starts with stress or sadness. You light up not because your body needs nicotine, but because your mind is screaming for escape. And in that moment, smoking doesn't feel like self-harm, it feels like self-protection. Your brain releases dopamine, not because you're happy, but because you just avoided pain. At least for a moment, the more often you do this, the more your brain associates emotional pain with cigarettes. Your brain starts to confuse comfort with chemical reward. The flick of the lighter, the rhythm of the inhale, even the scent, it all becomes part of a ritual your brain sees as safety. You're not addicted to smoking, you're addicted to what smoking makes you feel, or more accurately, what it helps you avoid feeling. If you want to quit, you don't just need to break a habit, you need to break a psychological loop. And that loop doesn't end with your last cigarette. It ends the first time you sit with the discomfort and choose not to run from it. That's not weakness. That's the beginning of power. Follow for daily neural tips.
Your best friend starts twerking during a heated argument. It's actually psychology. When people argue with someone close to them, their brain releases a stress chemical called cortisol. Too much cortisol makes your brain panic and look for a fast way to release tension. So sometimes the body does something completely random to break the stress, like suddenly twerking in the middle of the argument. It's your brain's weird way of resetting the mood, and if the tension is still too high, even the dog might have to join the twerk.
The most hurting person in the family isn't always the father who works from morning till night, or the mother who hides her tears behind a gentle smile. It's usually the youngest child, the one who grew up watching everyone fight, hearing loud voices through closed doors, and feeling the pain they could never explain. They became the listener. The one who says, "I'm fine," even when their heart feels heavy. The one who holds others when no one holds them back. They understand everyone's pain, but no one really sees theirs. Now they look strong. They became the glue holding everyone together while slowly falling apart on the inside. They laugh, help, and love deeply because they know exactly how it feels to be alone. If you're the youngest, you'll understand this without a single word. Follow for more truths people never...
According to psychology, people who build fake scenarios in their head while listening to music, lying in bed, or staring out the window are often experiencing maladaptive daydreaming. This is a coping mechanism where the mind escapes into vivid, imagined worlds that feel safer, more exciting, or more controllable than real life. Maladaptive daydreaming shows up in everyday ways, replaying conversations you wish had gone differently, crafting the perfect comeback that never happened, imagining future arguments to feel more prepared, picturing a relationship that doesn't exist, letting a favorite song play like a soundtrack while your mind writes a movie where you finally win, finally heal, finally feel seen. Neurologically, this process activates the brain's default mode network, the system tied to imagination, self-reflection, and memory. It can trigger dopamine release, giving the same reward the brain would normally get from real-life success or connection. But because it's imagined, the comfort is temporary. The ache returns once the story ends. The roots often trace back to childhood loneliness, neglect, or emotional pain. When reality felt unsafe or unfulfilling, the child's brain built a second world, one they could control. As adults, this habit can resurface during stress, boredom, or heartbreak. Maladaptive daydreaming isn't laziness or weakness. It's the nervous system regulating emotions through imagination. The danger comes when escaping becomes easier than living. The stories may end perfectly in your head, but real peace comes only from shaping a life where you don't need to hide inside them. If you like this content and want to see more, like, follow, and share this video with 3 of your friends.
This. The stricter the parents are, the better the child becomes at hiding the truth. And psychology explains why. Psychologists call this fear-based adaptation. Because when children grow up feeling like honesty leads to punishment, their brain stops associating truth with safety. Instead, it learns survival. So they start hiding things. Not always because they're bad, but because they're afraid of the reaction. Afraid of being yelled at, judged, controlled, misunderstood. And over time, the child stops asking, how do I be honest? And starts asking, how do I avoid consequences? That's why some strict households don't create honest children. They create careful children. Children who become experts at sneaking, lying, and hiding emotions. Because fear doesn't teach communication. It teaches protection. And here's the sad part. Many parents think, my child tells me nothing, without realizing the home may have taught them that truth was never emotionally safe there. Because children open up the most where they feel understood, not just controlled.
What makes popular kids popular? Very clever study. He studied thousands of high school students across a variety of high schools looking for patterns. Why is it that some kids across these grades and ages are really popular? He had all the kids ranked across all these schools. He had them look at traits, and then he guessed what made the popular kids popular. Were they more athletic? Were they more attractive? Were they funnier? Were they smarter? What was it? He found that the most popular kids, across the one single variable that was held true across all the different students, was the most popular kids had the longest list of people they liked. So when he asked, one of the questions in the survey was, who do you like? They had the longest lists. And when he looked at their day-to-day, they had micro moments of liking. They would go down the hallway and be like, hey Chad, hey Chelsea, hey Sarah. They liked so many people, and that in turn made them more likable. This showed me that being likable is in our control. Being likable means you have to be first likable. If you set out to like more people, you become more likable.
Dangerous persuasion skill there is. The 10-second brief is, I'm going to put a Lego right here on the table in front of you. And I'm going to put another Lego right here on the table in front of you. And I'm just going to keep having the conversation where eventually your brain is going to be like, oh, I bet those things go together. So the idea came from you. So I'm going to give you one piece of information and another piece of information, but I will never put them together for you. And the reason is that any idea that you think came from your own mind, you have no ability to resist it. So all I have to do is make you have an idea. A regular example of this is, let's say you're watching the news and they say, local Austin woman has been reported missing. Neighbors said that earlier this day, people saw her arguing with her boyfriend. They give you a piece of data and a piece of data, but they don't tell you to put it together. And if you can do this in a courtroom, it will be the biggest unfair advantage you'll ever have in a legal
Psychology says the mind of an overthinker is both a blessing and a burden. If you're an overthinker, your brain doesn't know how to let go. You replay conversations long after they've ended, analyzing every word, every pause, every silence, wondering if you said too much or not enough. People think you worry too much, but the truth is you care too much. You notice details others ignore. You sense moods others can't explain, and you carry emotions that don't even belong to you. Overthinkers are not weak. They are deeply empathetic souls. You prepare for outcomes no one else considers. You imagine futures that may never come. And sometimes you build storms in your head just to prepare for rain that never falls. But at the same time, your overthinking gives you wisdom, creativity, and perspective others don't have. You feel deeply, you care deeply, and though it can be exhausting, it's also what makes you human. If you're an overthinker, you're not broken. You're thoughtful, layered, and beautifully complex, and the right people will see your depth as a gift, not a flaw.